Welcome into Sportsmemo's betting podcast, NFL opening line report with Teddy Covers. Teddy, happy Monday morning to you. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Drew. I'm real frustrating on Saturday when we had a big ticket on the over in the Ravens game, and Baltimore punted once in that game. You understand? They punted once and scored 12 points. That was frustrating. Got some of it back yesterday, at least with the Packers, minus the points, but that was a sweat and a half as well. But bottom line is split out over the weekend. Kiss your sister. I'm not going to complain about it, but boy, I felt like I was going to go 2-0 again, and it didn't happen. But it's still been a real good NFL run. I think 73% over the last 5 weeks or something. So I really can't complain, but it should be better than that. I'm still mad about that, and it's 2 days later and I'm mad about it. You should have seen me on Saturday night. I was ready to strangle somebody.
Teddy, it happens, man. Splitting like that, I guess it's cheap entertainment, not free entertainment, cheap entertainment with the VIG not going for you. But either way, this is the opening line report and trying to get on the right side of some of these moves here. We got two games, Teddy. We got the NFC Championship and the AFC Championship. Green Bay Packers, San Francisco 49ers up first. Tennessee Titans, Kansas City Chiefs up second. But let's just start off top of the card here. I'll throw it over to you. 3-11, 3-12. Green Bay Packers at the San Francisco 49ers. Looking at the Sportsmemo odds screen right now, Teddy, seeing sevens at some shops, 7.5s at others. That's the San Francisco 49ers favored at home. So a good one to shop around as we speak right now. But of course, on a critical number here, a number right on 7, right on 7.5. Interested to hear your thoughts on where this number goes throughout the week, when it's a good entry point for all the listeners out there and myself to get on this game. We got a total of 45, Teddy. I'll throw it over to you. Green Bay, San Francisco to start off the show.
Well, let's get a doodly-oop to start off the show because this line's already started to move.
Doodly-oop? Doodly-oop?
Doodly-oop. Doodly-oop. That's, of course, the emergency betting alert symbol that we have, or signal that we have. This line is clearly going to 7.5 in early betting action today. Whether it stays there, I can't tell you, but it's going there. So okay. If you like San Fran, there are 7s available right now. Okay, I'm not convinced those 7s will be there later in the day. We may see it again later in the week, but the markets are clearly moving towards the 49ers this morning, which means that if you like San Fran, you can find a -7. Again, there are plenty available right now, but I'm not convinced they're going to be there, tonight, tomorrow, and throughout the week. So San Fran -7, if you want it, bet it. That's pretty clear to me. That being said, my powering number on the game is San Fran -5.5. It's a Packers team. I understand they covered the spread yesterday because of a missed 2-point conversion. I understand they barely hung on for the win. But that's what Green Bay's been doing all year. They haven't won pretty. They aren't going to win pretty. They're going to hang around in this game. It's not likely to be pretty for the Packers. And again, of course, I went back and looked really close at the first meeting between these two teams. And in theory, it's supposed to be a Green Bay spot. They were coming off a bye, and they were coming off the win. I'm not going to say it saved their season, but the win against the Panthers where they hung on. Where Carolina got down to like the 1-yard line at the end. And Green Bay had hung on for the win to keep everything alive. And they had the bye week, and they went to San Fran, and they were rusty. The offense did not move the football at all. I think they finished the game with 2.8 yards per play. But that was with garbage yardage at the end. They couldn't run, they couldn't pass, they didn't control the line of scrimmage. Balaga was hurt in that game early. Adams wasn't right in that game. I'm trying to remember if he played, but I know it was right. But the bottom line for Green Bay is that their offense and their offensive line in particular couldn't control the line of scrimmage against San Fran. And what did we see from the 49ers against the Vikings? A Vikings offense that had worked and looked okay and looked good. And Kirk Cousins had won a playoff game. And they went to San Fran, and again, they had 5 first downs going into their final drive, where they got a couple more. But the dominant unit in that game was the 49ers defensive front, just the way it was the dominant unit in the game when Green Bay met San Fran earlier. So, like I said, the money so far is clearly pointing towards San Fran. If you like the Niners, find a 7 right now. Total-wise, one book opened 44.5, another book opened 45.5, another book opened 45, and they're all sitting at 45 right now. I'm not seeing any initial movement on this total, but yeah, I don't want to. I my it feels like an under matchup, and yet in terms of indicators, I wouldn't be shocked if it goes up a tick. But 45, I don't expect this total to get steamed heavily either way. Just like this line's not going to get steamed heavily. If it comes off of 7, it'll go to 7.5. It's not going to 12.
Okay.
But if you like the Niners, I would grab a 7 now and put it in my pocket.
And Teddy, just to follow up here, because there are only 2 games on the card, and I know you're a proponent of really the Super Bowl only being the only game in terms of where the public can move the line. Do you think that the public has any influence for Championship Sunday, there being only 2 games in the NFL?
No, I mean, not really. No. I mean, you see, the books that don't take any wise guy action, and there's some. There's some that they'll kick out every pro as soon as they find them. And anyone that's getting the best of the number, oh yeah, okay. Thanks for your business. Your limits have been cut to $5. Knock yourself out. And I always look to see what those books are hanging in comparison to the books that do cater to sharp money. And basically, right now it's the same story: 7.5, 7 minus 20. It's not like one of these. All the sharp books. They're all the square books are on one side or the other. It's not that stage.
Okay, and for any bettors out there, so some of the, I guess, square books, non-sharp books, that would be William Hill. Could you name any others off the top of your head?
Oh, sure. I mean, again, I grouped them together on my screen. The books that don't really like a whole lot of sharp money in Vegas would be William Hill, Station, Standout, Coasts. Don't take a whole lot of big bets. But I'd rank them in that order: William Hill, Stations, Coast. Offshore, you're always looking at Bovada and Sports Interaction are the 2 that certainly stand out for catering to recreational players and not liking a whole lot of wise guy action. So those 5 books, I group them all together, and you get a sense of where the public money is as opposed to where the sharper money is.
All right. He's Teddy Covers. Follow him on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Betts. We got a couple questions from Twitter, guys. Appreciate really you guys watching the show, giving us the like button on YouTube, sharing on your social medias. The growth of the show has been really great here in terms of every Monday morning here on the YouTube channel. NFL Opening Line Report podcast with Teddy and myself. We'll be doing it for the Super Bowl as well. Maybe a look ahead towards the props. That will be next Monday morning. We got one more game here, and then we'll answer the questions on Twitter. Do want to give out the coupon code for the podcast, TC69. That's TC69 at checkout, sportsmemo.com. We'll take $30 off, making it only $69 for the rest of his NFL season. That gives you every play he releases in the NFL, every props in the Super Bowl props package, all for just $69. Coupon code TC69 at checkout. Teddy, we got the second game up here, 313, 314, the rotation numbers, AFC Championship game, Tennessee at Kansas City. We're seeing the Chiefs -7 or -7.5. Kind of same situation in terms of where this line is sitting. Higher total here, Teddy, by a touchdown, 52 or 52.5, depending what sportsbook we're going off of. Tennessee Titans, Kansas City Chiefs.
And that's why both these games are doodle-oop games today. We have absolutely, emergency betting alert, you betcha. And again, my powering number for Green Bay San Fran was only 5.5. My powering number here is KC 8 over Tennessee, and I've been a Titans believer. All right. Tennessee did something against Baltimore that I didn't expect. And look, a lot of that was the Ravens choking. All right. It really was. I mean, Baltimore, they dropped passes that they didn't do. Lamar Jackson forgot how to run a quarterback sneak. There was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, oh, he's got it. Oh, what's he doing? Oh my God, he doesn't. With an over bet in that game, it just made you crazy. Again, the Ravens punted once.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And they scored 12 points. Which speaks to the turnovers and the fourth down failures and et cetera, for Baltimore. But Tennessee, their defensive line controlled the flow, and their secondary made plays. And that's 2 areas where the Titans, at times this season, haven't been as good as they were on Sunday. Casey was a monster on Sunday. He blew up play after play. Every play, Casey's in the backfield against what had been an elite offensive line. Not last weekend, not against Tennessee's front. And the secondary, which was a banged up unit. At one point, they were in week 16 against New Orleans, they were missing 3 starters. Secondary is making plays all game and on it. So my party number here is 8. Look, this opened 7.5, and now it's 7.5. Much like it looks to me like San Fran can go up, I can only think that we're going to see at least some Tennessee money here. Certainly the sharp books have already shown some Tennessee money. So if you like the Titans, find a 7.5 right now and bet it. You know, the 7 for San Fran, you got to find it and bet it now. If you want the 7, it may be there, but it may not. And certainly the early indicators are, and of course, we saw both these teams played early in the season. When the Packers got destroyed by San Fran, they were off a bye, they were rested and ready. In theory, they were supposed to be ready. When the Chiefs played the Titans, and that was a wild game. KC took a 10-0 lead. Tennessee came back and took the lead. Then KC was in control again, and the Titans scored touchdowns in the last 2 possessions of the game. And then KC had a chance for the field goal to tie it, and they had a bad snap and then a blocked field goal right at the end. They lost 35-32. But the Titans ran for better than 8 yards per play in that game. Kansas City had no shot of stopping Derrick Henry, much the way that we've seen the last 3 weeks. No one has been able to stop Derrick Henry. It's a bad matchup for KC, flat out. KC wants a team that's going to throw the football. The edge rushers can create pressure, and that is the strength of that defense. The weakness of that defense is the ability to stop running backs like Derrick Henry. And the markets are seeing that. And that's why we're seeing the money come on Tennessee. All that said, are the initial bets coming on Tennessee, the 7.5 getting bought up. All that said, I mean, any debate over who the best quarterback in the NFL is got answered yesterday, okay? I mean, that was truly impressive. Again, Mahomes, he didn't just lead the team in rushing. He didn't just throw for 5 touchdowns. There were no negative plays. He didn't take any sacks. Half of his incompletes were on drops early when the team was a little bit out of sync because they were coming out of the bye week. Mahomes was special yesterday, and he's been special all year, and he was special last year. And I mean, I've said it on this show, I think at least a couple times, that he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Ryan Tannehill isn't. Tannehill, and not that Tannehill's done anything wrong the last couple of games. Tennessee has been in their game plan where they're not playing from behind and they're not forced to take shots downfield, and they can ground and pound, and that works great for the Titans. In a situation where they're behind, it may not be so easy for them in that regard. It does feel like Andy Reid's here, and Mahomes is the best QB in the NFL. But from a matchup standpoint, I don't know how KC stops Henry. And given the success of Tennessee, again, the secondary and the defensive front, maybe they can give some some fuss. But honestly, this is a game I think the Chiefs are going to win. Whether they win by margin or not is another question entirely. But from a point spread standpoint, it's pretty clear to me that the money right now is showing for Tennessee. So grab the plus 7.5 if you like Titans. Total-wise, the first bets have been to the over for what it's worth. Of course, KC going over by halftime yesterday. Yeah. It tells me that there's not necessarily going to be a groundswell of under money coming in this one.
And is that normal, Teddy? I'm guessing it would be. I mean, in terms of a team hitting an over in the second quarter, the next game automatically off the open getting over money.
I mean, it's not automatic. No, there's no automatics. It's but it's nothing to be. Oh wow, that's shocking.
Okay.
No. I mean, the Chiefs scored 7 touchdowns on 7 straight possessions yesterday. That's never been done in the history of the NFL postseason ever. Okay, so it's a Kansas City team that the markets have to respect their offensive prowess. And given that the first meeting, again, KC had 500 yards of offense and 28 first downs in the first meeting, and scored 32 points. And then there was a defensive score in that game, and there were some special teams miscues as well. But they still got to, the bottom line is they got to 67 that time. Your recreational bettors aren't going to be playing a whole lot of KC under. I'll put it that way.
Makes total sense here, Teddy. And Teddy, a follow-up to your analysis, Tennessee and Kansas City, the rematch here. And the reason I'm asking this is because both of these two teams fit a profile I'm very interested in. One, and it's changing for the better. Of course, Tennessee, which you've highlighted many times on this show, you can't go by their full season stats. You got to go by when Tannehill took over at the quarterback position, got a lot better offensively. But something we haven't touched on as much is Kansas City's defense got better throughout the season. At the end of the season, they got healthier, a much better defense at the end. So how much do you really put into the Tennessee-Kansas City rematch and take away from the first game? Because it was the beginning of November, I believe. So it kind of depends what teams we got from each side there. Do you take anything into that in this rematch?
So when you look at my strategy for looking at what happened in the first game between these two teams is not to expect the exact same thing to happen again. It's to thoroughly understand the flow of that game, why the final score was what it was, and to see if there was any anomalies that you're like, that's not going to happen again. There's no way that's happening again. This wasn't one of those type of games. All right.
Okay.
The Chiefs were able to move the football throughout. The key is, so are the Titans. And that's something worth noting here. And again, it was, I think, we're not talking about that December game. And the Chiefs defense absolutely played their best football over the back half of the campaign. There's no question about what they were able to do down the stretch they couldn't do over the middle of the season. But that, at least, is somewhat of that was schedule related. They had the Bears, they had the Broncos on that snowy day, they had the Patriots offense that didn't work, they had the Raiders offense that didn't work down the stretch. So they faced a lot of right teams at the right times in that regard. Kansas City's defense is built to stop the pass. All right. They put all of their offseason chips into let's make sure we have a pass rush this year. It's going to help our secondary. And they have done a real good job at stopping the pass. It's way better, night and day from where they were a year ago. But against a ground and pound team like the Titans, the defense doesn't necessarily match up quite as well. Interesting game. Fun game.
Yeah, and I mean, this total being a touchdown high, you can see why. I mean, obviously, the odds maker's smart. Vegas is very good at what they do. 52 being the low watermark here. Could you see this total getting higher by kickoff?
Yes, but okay. I don't see it. I don't think it gets steamed. We're not looking at a 54.5 or something like that. The recreational books are likely to take some over money. 52.5, maybe some 53s. But is this total going to go through the roof? I don't see that happening. The priorities for betting on a Monday morning would be San Fran -7 and Tennessee +7.5, because we're not sure those lines are going to be there. If you like the over 52, I would say don't make that bet now. It could well go up, but I don't think the urgency is there the way there is with the two sides that we've talked about.
Great stuff, Teddy. And guys, follow him on Twitter at Teddy_covers. Myself on Twitter at Drew Martin Betts. Love to hear any questions, anything you want to throw out there from today's show. And remember the coupon code at sportsmemo.com for the rest of Teddy Covers NFL season. Coupon code TC69 takes $30 off the retail price at sportsmemo.com. That includes every play he releases, including the Super Bowl prop report. Teddy, we got a couple questions here from the Sports Memo Twitter account, but want to read them out here on the show. From Aaron Williams for Teddy Covers: which football talking head, ex-player, coach, team executive, all included there, whose X's and O's game, team breakdown, insight, strategy do you respect when it comes to handicapping a game? He throws out a couple names here: Mike Lombardi, Bill Polian, Charlie Casserly, ESPN NFL Matchup Show, or any other talking head that you really respect's opinion.
Well, I mean, it's got to be Booger, right?
There you go, Teddy. A lot of people hating on Booger, man, but I don't know if I'd go that.
I have no qualms with Booger. I'm just teasing, of course. The first name you brought up, Lombardi's a guy who I have a lot of respect for. Absolutely. Michael Lombardi's a great follow on Twitter. He's someone whose stuff that I read on a consistent basis, and he's someone who has given me some insights over the years. So he's certainly a name that stands out. But I mean, doing what I do, it's not necessarily about reading other people's analysis, it's about making my own analysis. That's why I watch the NFL the way that I do. I'm not relying on others' opinions for this sport. Lombardi writes good stuff. I would encourage you to follow him.
Okay.
I appreciate the that's 2 weeks in a row, Aaron said it's. I love it. Thanks, buddy. I'll see you next time you're in Vegas, hopefully.
Yeah, that's at Aaron_S02 on Twitter. Good follow there. Teddy, and about the Booger comment, I think he's a nice guy. I think he gets a little bit too much hate on Twitter. What do you think?
I'm with you. Oh, yeah, he's an easy target to make fun of because sometimes he says funny stuff. We all say funny stuff. You know, if you actually analyzed every word that came out of your and my mouth on some of these shows, you know, I'll be like, yeah, well, they've got a good defense because they get stops. I mean, it's a lot of silly things that you end up saying but we're obviously not under that Monday Night Football spotlight. That said, you know, Booger's. I think he's taking a lot of heat, but he's taking a lot of heat because he's in a big role that he may not be good enough to be in.
Teddy, another question here. We got rotation numbers 311, 312, 313, 314, but it's in the exact opposite order of when the games are kicking off, meaning the later game is at the top of the rotation number and the earlier game is at the bottom of the rotation number. This is just a question off the top of my head here. Do you know why that is? And also, who sets the rotation numbers?
So that's a fascinating question. And I was thinking about that yesterday. I'm like, I've been out here and I really don't know who actually sets it. I was under the impression like Don Best was the one that everyone just copies the Don Best numbers. But how do they? But I don't know that for fact. And I feel like I should know that for fact. I'm going to find that out. But the answer is I don't know. Who sets the rotation order and why? In terms of why and again on my rotation book right here just says conference championships and has the 4 game and has 311, 312, 313, 314 and everything's blank. Doesn't say NFC versus AFC. I know that the games themselves, in terms of which one goes at which time, has everything to do with the TV networks get to choose that. And there's a pecking order, and it changes year to year. But I can't tell you why. The answer is I don't know.
Okay. I wrote down another question here as you were breaking down the Green Bay San Francisco game. You got a lot of San Francisco O versus Green Bay D. What do you think about the Green Bay offense versus the San Francisco defense? Do you think Aaron Rodgers and company are going to be able to move the ball against this 49ers defense?
That's a good question. And it's, again, they couldn't do it at all. The first meeting was complete domination by San Francisco at the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a different pressure level to this ball game. I personally, I wasn't overly impressed with Garoppolo in the win over Minnesota. Okay, so you have a pretty good quarterback against a lesser quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers. You have a Hall of Famer against a non-Hall of Famer, and the Hall of Famer's catching a touchdown. That said, the 49ers, they didn't face any adversity in that game. They were up. They were in control of the contest. They were able to let their defense do what it did. And with the exception of the one big touchdown they gave up, the defense controlled the flow, and that put Garoppolo into positive situations. And they ran the football, 30 of their last 36 offensive plays. If they're trailing, if they have to play from behind, it's a very different story for San Francisco. So I do have my game flow to me matters a lot when it comes to this 49ers team. And when they're playing with the lead like they were in the first meeting, their first touchdown came after a strip sack fumble that led the ball on the Packers' first drive, and San Fran was up 7-0. They had a 2-yard drive to punch in. They're in control. The crowd's going crazy, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very different story if you're down 7-0. So a lot of that first meeting, in my mind, it was momentum building on itself. I'm not looking at a definitive that first meeting is exactly what we're going to see here. And in terms of when you were asking me about the 49ers, was it the defense? You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that defense has been a pretty dominant unit
Mm-hmm.
down the stretch, but not like Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams are hopeless. And LaFleur can't design a game plan. Green Bay hasn't put up the sick stats that some of the other teams did. But it's not about stats for the Packers. It's about rings.
And Teddy, ranking the QBs left here, 4 QBs, obviously, with 4 teams left, championship Sunday. I would rank them Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, then Jimmy G, then Ryan Tannehill. Do you have any disagreement with that ranking?
None whatsoever. It's a no-brainer. That's exactly the way I would rank them. And if you want to rank them differently in any way, shape, or form, you're wrong. That's how you rank them.
Okay. And
Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Okay. He ranks number 1 against anybody.
Well, that was going to be my follow-up question, because you referred to Aaron Rodgers as a Hall of Fame quarterback, and we are both putting Patrick Mahomes above him. So I guess maybe there could be an argument that Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback left.
No, there's no. Patrick Mahomes is doing stuff that no one's ever seen anyone do before. This is his 3rd year, running this offense, same receiving core, same core, He's real comfortable, and he is doing things that I haven't seen any other quarterback do this year. So, no, I cannot rank. I understand Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. Aaron Rodgers is way further in his career than Patrick Mahomes is. If you tell me I need to win a game tomorrow, who do I pick? And you have these quarterbacks, that's how they get drafted. It goes, Mahomes gets drafted 1, Rodgers gets drafted 2, Garoppolo gets drafted 3, and Tannehill gets drafted 4. And you might even flip Garoppolo and Tannehill, to be honest.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was wondering. I mean, how sure are we that Jimmy G is better than Tannehill? But I guess we don't have to know that until the Super Bowl, possibly. So I guess it really doesn't matter. But Teddy, I guess I have one more question here in terms of strength of schedule, and this is just off the top. So if you don't have the numbers, don't worry about it. But with these 4 teams left, did you notice any huge discrepancies in strength of schedule? And the fact that it was wild card weekend, there was a huge 20-year-long stretch of ATS advantage by going off of strength of schedule. But I do remember you saying in the divisional round it was not as strong, if any. Do you think there's anything to the strength of schedule metrics in the championship round, Teddy?
Not at this stage. There really isn't. And just looking at my numbers for the 4 teams, Green Bay, San Fran, middle of the pack, Green Bay, middle of the pack, San Fran, middle of the pack, Tennessee, middle of the pack, and Kansas City. Of the 4 remaining, I got the Chiefs and Titans were slightly harder schedules based on my numbers than the 2 teams from the NFC, but there's not even 5 points worth of difference over the entire season, just adding the numbers up. 5-point difference between the 2 NFC teams and the 2 AFC teams in this game. So there's nothing for strength of schedule. That one team played a much tougher schedule or easier. And that's something that it really has just worked in the wild card round and hasn't worked in others.
Okay. He's Teddy Covers. He's hot right now, 73% in the NFL the last 5 weeks. That's off a split weekend here in the NFL, 73% over the last 5 weeks. He's also 67% in the NBA since Christmas. And my favorite stat here, NFL since 2015. That's the last 5 years. He's 207 and 159. That's 57% over five-year span here in the NFL. That's one of the best in the industry, 57%. Teddy Covers. Anything else you want to throw out before we shut this down?
Well, yeah, I want to put out. So I was talking with some of the smart guys upstairs at Sportsmemo, talking about some ideas for next year. And I just had an idea. Well, what happened if I was able to give my clients my plays in real time? Where I make the bet and then I just text it out or tweet it out or whoever's in group, as opposed to putting up a play and letting it sit there with the stale number and all of that. So we're just talking about that conceptually. I have no idea if there's any interest for that. It would probably be like a monthly subscription rate. I'm sure we would charge something reasonable for that. We're not talking about thousands of dollars a month. I would think the price point would be in the range of $100. But I don't know. No, all this is all just theory. So I guess what I'm asking is, if you're interested in this, just as a concept, all right, you don't have to, you're not going to get bombarded with promo stuff or anything like that. But if you're interested in the concept, text TC to 33222. Again, all you got to do is text TC. I think it's got to be in caps, or the way it was sent to me. You're supposed to send it to TC to 33222. You're going to get a message confirming that you sent it in, and you'll be added to a list. And if we see interest level in it, we may do something like that for next football season. So it's just, I'm just trying to gauge if there are people that would rather have that than the standard service that we've offered. Again, if you'd rather have me be able to make my bets and then get them to you in close to real time, text TC to 33222. Just gauging interest level right now, trying to think ahead for next football season. So thank you. And if you're interested, again, TC to 33222.
All right, Teddy. And guys, remember the coupon code for the podcast, TC69 at checkout for his rest of NFL full season package, including every play, including the Super Bowl prop report for only $69. TC69 at checkout. Teddy, thanks for the time, buddy. Best of luck this weekend. Guys out there, best of luck with your bets. We'll talk tomorrow.